A very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to an exceptionally sweet start to this afternoon's sunset safari, starting off with a family, well actually a gathering of warthogs surrounded by topi in the Masai Mara of Kenya. Just a quick introduction, my name is Jamie, and this afternoon Jahawi is on camera with me, and as I said, live from the Masai Mara in Kenya. A little bit later we will be joined by our friends back across in South Africa. And of course, because this is a live safari, it means it is interactive. Send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. They will then come through our earpieces and we will be able to answer them. How sweet are these little piggies? I just couldn't resist stopping. I wasn't exaggerating actually when I said that little piece about the resident lion pride. We are very close to where the Angamas were last seen this morning. Apparently they've been hanging around here, so I'm actually going down to the waterhole to check. Oh, but I just had to stop and show you the little piggies. They're getting so big so quickly that they're going to be past this utterly adorable stage very soon. Although personally I find warthogs of all shapes and sizes quite adorable. There's something innately appealing about them. People always say they're ugly. I don't think they're ugly at all. Where's the little runt gone? There's a little runt of the litter somewhere in there. Tiny, tiny little thing when you compare it to the rest of its siblings and cousins. Now, chances are these two mothers, because there are two mothers here, these piglets don't all belong to one mother. Chances are these two mothers are related to each other in some way, most likely a mother and daughter combination. So there's a little bit of cooperative breeding within warthog populations. And I have to say that the Mara seems to be, especially this particular part of the Mara in the Northern Triangle, seems to be the place where warthog gather. There are so many of them around here. One can't help but become slightly attached to the little piglets that one drives past every single day. Or maybe it's just me. I see them every day, and I've watched them grow up since they were, I don't know, this big. Slight exaggeration. I like it, Isotape. You and I are off going to get on very well. We're off on a similar footing. Isotape says, "Aborable." Love it. Love a good pun. Best pun of the day gets Pun of the Day award. That one's I couldn't think of a better title that quickly. I wanted to sneak a bit closer. Let's just try sneak a little bit closer. These guys are quite relaxed. Yeah, so pun of the day. Come on, let's see if you can beat Aborable. Because Aborable was pretty good. I didn't think of that. Okay. So there's a toss-up between the sound of the engine and then a giant, silent, moving, creaking vehicle as to which is going to be less threatening. We'll go with the silent, moving vehicle. There we go. They were all having a little nap when I arrived. It was so sweet, all of them all gathered together. There's a little runt. That's a very, very good point, because I just threw that term out there. So Spaz is wanting to know, what is cooperative breeding? Right, so a really very good example would be birds. So birds, a lot of the different bird species are cooperative breeders. What that means essentially is that they help each other out. The next generation will actually help mum and dad out with, the previous offspring will help mum and dad out with the next generation. Something like a woodhoopoe is a good example. A woodhoopoe, you'll see lots of them in South Africa. They are cooperative breeders. Jackal are also cooperative breeders to a degree. And then, of course, you get certain animals that are cooperative breeders in the sense that they allo-suckle each other's cubs or babies. Lions are also a good example. Warthogs do it as well. Warthogs have been recorded suckling piglets that are not theirs. In other words, they allo-suckle. And because most of the time the connection in terms of the two warthogs tends to be a mother-daughter relationship, it is termed cooperative breeding. So that, in its strictest form, cooperative breeding is usually used in reference to another good example of cooperative breeders, and for some reason I can only think of woodhoopoes, and there's so many different cooperative breeders in the bird world. It'll come to me. It's Saturday afternoon. It's the nerves are a little rusty. Celia says hamtastic indeed, in reference to our little piggies. I love it. I don't want to scare this little baby Topi either. There's babies everywhere today. Hello, little Topi. I'm afraid I'm going to. Unfortunately, I wonder whether that little Topi from yesterday ever found Mum. I don't know. I don't know if that Topi ever found its mum. Okay, we're going to go off in search of the Angama Pride. While we do that, let's head across to Brent, who is also out in the Mara, and I know he's just dying to say hello to you.
Well, hello. As you can see, we're about to go past the Olololo gate, and I'm going to head down towards the Mara River. I'm looking for rhinoceri. So I'm going to look for rhinos and birds, I think, is my main aim for the afternoon. My name is, of course, Brent Leo Smith, and on camera with me today is Archie. And, well, we're going to see what wonders await. And remember, if you have any questions for us, hashtag Safari Live on whatever platform you might be watching on. So we're just sneaking past the gate. Now, there have been some nice birds around at the moment, especially the widows and the widers that are in their breeding plumage. So the males are looking spectacular, trying to attract as many ladies as possible. And it looks like we might have some storms a little later in the afternoon, which is very common in the Mara at this time of the year. We got thoroughly drenched yesterday. And a very, very big storm, lots of drowned lions about. And tomorrow I will be setting off on a bit of an extended adventure. I'll be heading back towards Talek and staying at Oloshaiki and seeing how many cheetah we can find. So it's going to be quite exciting. We're going to be based on the other side of the river from tomorrow till the end of the TV show. Remember the TV show on Big Cat, part of Big Cat Week, Nat Geo Wild, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be hopefully with cheetah on the other side of the river. But you never know, we could be with lions or leopard. But yes, it'll be very exciting. So Batman and myself will be across from tomorrow, and then Jamie and Jahawi will be across on Monday. And we'll have 2 vehicles on the other side of the river, searching for the 5 boys, Malika, Imani, Amani, Mushipai, Miale, and I'm sure I've forgotten a few cheetah, but there are plenty of cheetah to be had on that side of the river. So fingers crossed, that is. Well, Lily and lots of you else out there say, yay, cheetahs. Yep. So we've been, before the TV shows, we've been based in the Triangle. We've been giving our vehicles a once-over. Our mechanics have been hard at work. Pucker's even had her gearbox taken out and put back in. Fortunately, the lovely Kitu is ship shape, and that's probably because I drive her more than anyone else. Good Kitu. Yeah, it's got the oldest engine in it, but I still think she's the best of our vehicles. Now, of course, there's been lots of rain, and in that area where we're going to be searching for cheetahs, there is a definite chance of getting stuck. If you are not me, of course. I will not get stuck. And if I get stuck, you'll never know. Monique is wondering, is there any chance of seeing the Black Rock Pride while we're over there? Of course, there's always a chance, Monique, but they are quite far away from Talek, from where we're based. Good 25, 30 kilometers. There's always a chance, But as those cubs are now quite big, they are unlikely to be in the same spot. And that area does prove to be quite difficult from a signal and comms point of view. Lots of undulating valleys. And of course we are always working, and at a point in time we will have those areas covered. But for now, unfortunately, if they're not around those rocks, it can be a bit of a risky call to go all the way out there, and they could be just over the crest where there is no signal. But there's always a possibility, Monique. But our main aim for the next week is not lions, and it will be cheetah on the other side. Taylor's aim will be lions in the triangle while she is when she's on this side. So Jamie and I are going to be concentrating on cheetah, and Taylor will be concentrating on lions. There we go, some park rangers on the way. So as I said, Jamie's going to be on the other side of the river, but for now, we're both on the triangle side, so let's go see whereabouts Jamie is.
I'm not far from where you left me, actually. I'm basically just driving circles, making sure I don't miss some tawny shapes hidden in very long grass. Jahowie and I this morning drove for easily about an hour or so before we found our first animal. That wasn't an elephant a kilometer away. I made a grievous error here. A grievous error. It's all gone horribly wrong. I'm not sure how that happened. Where'd the road go? And that'll teach me. Trying to be lazy and avoid all the potholes. Handicap visions. How close is the nearest highway? Jahowie? Does that count as a highway from Narok? Pardon? I guess we could count it as a highway. Okay, Jahowie says the nearest highway is 200 and something odd kilometers away, so pretty far. I mean, obviously Jahowie, being Kenyan, would have a better grasp of the layout of everything around here. I know, having spent 6 months here and travelled a little bit in Kenya, I'm sort of familiar with things. The reason I say that the Narok Road is probably not a highway is it's a single road. It is tar, that helps, but it still takes us about 4 hours on a good day, 6 hours on a bad day if you get stuck, 7, 8 hours to get from the tar road to our camp. So it's quite a long way away. It's actually not a long distance, it's a long journey on very, very muddy roads at this time of year. Yesterday afternoon we were with a mating pair of lions. We were with Morani and the Magoro lioness, and we were just soaked. We were absolutely drenched. Is that little lost topi still? Oh, you poor little mite. There's a topi herd just over the ridge, you silly thing. Unless that's not your herd. Oh, shame. Still there. Oh, you poor little thing. It does seem to have a really swollen belly when compared to the other topi that we see, the baby topi. Why are you separate? Shame. Really vulnerable little creature at this particular age, all by itself. Not much we can do though. I mean, we've got no idea where its herd is. It's been separated during a storm, or there's a lion. Oh goodness. Oh, there's a lion. There's a lion eyeing up our baby topi. Oh goodness, little topi. Okay, we found the Angama pride. Marvelous. Let's go and get a bit closer to them. Let's find our way over there. I have highly, highly unfortunate news to share with you guys. And I've sort of been tossing and turning as to whether or not I want to tell you or tell you when I next find them. But I'm almost certain, after a month and a half's absence, that the little pale lioness from the Sausage Tree Pride is gone. She hasn't been seen in over a month and a half. I spent the entire night with them the other night, and I didn't see her. And it's very, very unfortunate. You know, if I'd only seen them every now and again, I would have said there's still a chance I've missed her. But to have spent the whole night with them and not seen her, and the entire morning, unfortunately, one of those things, and the dangers, of course, of getting attached to certain individuals. Okay, we're going to make our way a bit closer towards this Lion Pride and see what their plans are for the afternoon. Let's head across to Brent to find out where he is and what his plans are.
Well, we're going very slowly, and we've just seen some mating butterflies. Look like citrus swallowtails on the road. Once Arch gets in a bit closer, I'll confirm. Here we go. We can. Yes, that is indeed mating citrus swallowtails. They are just a shimmer of movement. Oh, and it's all over. Oh, is it? It is. It's all over. Now, that female will find a convenient spot to lay. Now, lots of different butterflies have different plants or trees that their young prefer to be laid upon. And I'm trying to remember citrus swallowtail. I think it could be guarri, but I'll have to double check on that. But they will then go lay upon a specific tree that the caterpillars will like. Now, we've got a few other butterflies here. Now, Arch, this is your first time butterflying with me, and it can be quite challenging. But we can see there we've got a scarlet tip, and it's flattering around much better. But there, where did it land? Well, here's another citrus swallowtail. So that scarlet tip landed in that little bit of bush there. Let's just move a bit forward. Looks like a brown veined white. Not the scarlet tip I was looking for. There's the scarlet tip. Just on the edge of this. Yes, there we go. Well done, Arch. There's an inconvenient grass stalk in the way, but it's taken off. Very beautiful little scarlet tipped butterfly disappearing there. Oh no, he's going to land somewhere nice. There we go. Now, it looks sort of like burnt orange underneath, but there we go. You see as he opens it up, you see that wonderful scarlet, and there's a brown veined white, one of the most common butterfly species in Africa. And then both of them flap off. Isn't that cool? I do love a good butterfly session. Maybe we'll have a look. Maybe we'll see a butterfly that none of us have ever seen before today. Spaz is wondering, are there any famous butterflies in Kenya? I don't know, but that little rufous-note lark has caught something. Now, I've seen this pair a couple of times around here, and I think they've got a nest close by, because they're continuously catching and taking stuff back towards the nest. Where's the other one? Oh, you flicked your grasshopper a bit far there, chum. Well, this one's not going anywhere but down the gullet. It's quite a big grasshopper for... Now, of course, grasshoppers on their back legs have that very, very sharp sort of, almost like thorns or spines off their back leg, which they use to defend themselves when they kick out with that. That's why the lark was throwing it around a bit before swallowing. Okay, isn't that pretty? We're going to keep looking for rhinos, but I think we're going to try to do some of the smaller things in the Mara this afternoon. We're going to see if we can find some flowers, some butterflies, birds. And of course, this is the sort of bang-on area for the black rhino. We've been seeing a lot of them around these forests here. So, Jamie is on her way to the lions, which leaves us the opportunity to search for some different things. But let's go see how close she is to those lions.
Oh, we're getting there. We're very, very close indeed. I'm just inching my way along here, for I am terribly... Remember how the last time we had them in this area, that poor guy got really thoroughly stuck and then he lost his bumper and it was all a big disaster. So this entire place is just a trap waiting to happen. This is just mush. I don't think we can drive on there. Well, maybe. Depends how brave Pucker's feeling. And I'm inclined to stay this side of the lugger because I think this is the way they're going to go. Oh, Lynn, the ever complex question, very contentious issue at times. Now, there we go, that's about as close as I think I'm going to risk going into the marsh here, especially if it starts to rain, which it probably is going to, in which case we really are going to have to move back. Or Joey and I are going to have another washed away experience. Flushed away. So, Lynn wants to know who gives the prides their names, or individual leopards. It's done on a very piecemeal and quite individual basis. Most of the time, lion prides will be named for the area that they're in, and that applies in South Africa as well as to here in Kenya. Oh, they're getting so big, these cubs. So essentially, for example, this particular pride is right next to the Olololo Gate, hence became known as the Olololo Lionesses, as well as the Angamas, as well as the Out of Africa Pride, on the basis that this is the Out of Africa viewpoint. And the people, generally speaking, who will give them their names will be the other guides. They'll start to refer to them by a certain name. And then, of course, researchers will usually, when they come into an area, take that name on. Sometimes they might rename them. In this particular case, in the Mara, a lot of prides have been renamed by filming crews. Something that we've tried very hard not to do. We've obviously been presented with a lot of different names by a lot of different people for the different cats. But a lot of film crews do give lions a different name, or adapt or choose a certain name, which then becomes the more popular of the names, if that makes any sense. So, for example, the Ridge Pride was also known as the Topi Plains Pride. Then you've got the Marsh Pride, of course, very famous pride of lions, now with very few remaining members. So it's a difficult one. With cubs, the cubs are either done, especially in the sands, which is where the rest of the South African crew will be joining us from. In the sands, the leopard cubs are usually either named by the person who found them, or in the case of it occasionally democratically, or occasionally, in other words, different lodges get a vote, or occasionally in terms of seniority. So it's often a much oddly contested issue. I don't know why it is that it's so contested, because I have to tell you that the animals don't really care all that much what they're called. I suppose it makes sense for people and in terms of honouring the guides that found them. But for lion prides, it's an interesting one. And we get presented and bombarded with lots of different names by different guides. Cheetah are a complicated one. Different researchers, monitoring organizations, guides, all call them different things. It's very complicated. But let us settle for calling these ladies the Angamas for now, or the Olololos, or the Out of Africa Pride. Although apparently the Out of Africa Pride was a different pride, but oh goodness, I don't know. I haven't had the time or the capacity in my time in the Mara to actually try and unravel the threads from the different answers I've got on names. I know them as the Angamas. I've watched the cubs grow up since they were weeny little things. The youngest group was just 4 weeks old when we first saw them. And now all 13 of them are looking healthy and stocky. And the 4 lionesses, utterly gorgeous as they always are. Mohammed, they are waiting for something. They're waiting for an opportunity to get some food. They're looking very hungry. There's some zebra up on the top of the slope. There's a baby giraffe a little bit further up the slope. There's also the baby topi a little bit behind us. That's one thing that I wanted to make sure that we didn't do, was park ourselves in the view of the baby topi, so at least it stands a chance of spotting them. So the baby topi is on their menu. They are looking definitely expectant, and I think they're waiting for the rain to come and go. I tell you a funny story that Jahawi and I, when we nearly got washed away down the road the other day, which was marked in our review as the, just by the way, Jahawi, as the raging river, not the road. But anyway, this man came up to us and said, no, just before, it's not going to rain. I don't think it's going to rain. When it comes from the escarpment, it doesn't come down here. Anyway, 40 mils of rain later, he drove past us again and refused to stop. He just put his foot down on the accelerator and zoomed past us. I think a little bit embarrassed. We're going to sit here patiently and see what our lovely Angama ladies, or whatever you want to call them, get up to. Off we go across to Brent, who apparently has got, which is interesting, a massive elephant.
Yes, I did say we were going to look for the smaller things, but this big Ellie bull was just so beautiful walking in the late afternoon light. And I thought he might walk towards us, but he smelt something that's sending him in a different direction. You see some warthogs that have been wallowing behind Thompson's gazelle and impala. And we can hear some of the smaller things. You hear a little which is what sounds like a little stream frog somewhere in one of the puddles around here. It is just a gorgeous scene here on the short grass plains. Slow movement. No rush on that elephant bull. And you can see the skies darkening to the south. As I said, there's a good chance we're going to get some rainstorms a little later in the afternoon. Beautiful big Ellie. Well, hello, Kathy. I'm just going to move the vehicle a little bit. Kathy's wondering, how do elephants make that rumbling sound? Well, in their throats, and it almost sounds like it's coming from their belly, but I mean, the same way as I'd go. Maybe they bounce their tongue up and down, but they have a whole bunch of other sounds that they're capable of making. They have a huge variety of vocalizations. Now, the reason I've come to these short grass plains, as I said, I was going to look for smaller things, so I'm looking for frogs and butterflies and birds, but you can't really turn off a beautiful big Ellie like that. He's just meandering very, very slowly. He's quite old, even though he doesn't have the biggest tusks. His tusks are quite worn. I'd say he's probably over 40. You can hear the ever-present of a rufous-napped lark. Well, I just want to try and get opposite him again. I'm hoping he's on his way down to the road next to us. He stops every now and then and just picks up something and munches on it as he's moving. But he's definitely on the trail. He could be looking for some friends, another group of bulls. He seems to be smelling stuff on the ground. Hey, big boy. Stop here. All right, see, there we go. He's found a little spot of snacks. Little bushes growing out of that termite mound are being plucked. very tall elephant, probably close to 4 meters at the shoulder. Also, it looks like he's had a wonderful mud bath at some point during today. I do love these big old bulls. Not a care in the world at the moment, this big old boy. Oh, and he smelt something tasty again. There we go. A little something small. I can't see what it is that's growing. It's a good thing for him he's walking over there, because on the other side of the road is a bird that has been known to irritate elephants from time to time, and it is the crowned lapwings. Especially when they've got a nest nearby and they're worried that the elephant might walk on top of their nest, they will dive bomb and squawk and really give elephants a hard time. It's just behind to the right slightly of that bird. Let's see the back one at the right. Go to the right slightly. Keep going. Stop there for a second and zoom in a little bit to the left. Not on the same species. I thought I saw it a little bit left. A little bit more left. Oh, it's disappeared into the grass. Not sure what it was, but I did see another little bird lurking near that Thompson's gazelle. But it has done a disappearing act. Must be quite small to disappear in that grass. Okay, let's catch up with this Ellie. He's about to join us on the road. Now, if you stay calm with these big old boys, you can get really close to them. Oh, and he's on a mission today. Cat Noir says, don't elephants usually travel in herds? Not the big old boys. They prefer to be by themselves. The only time they really spend a lot of time around the herds is when there's a female and estrus, and they are in must. So elephants, male and female, both have to be in a heightened hormonal state to mate. And generally, that's too much noise and nonsense going around the breeding herds. Let's get a bit closer. So the bulls tend to either form little bachelor groups or wander around by themselves. There's no real threat to an elephant bull of this size outside of human beings, and there's no other animal that would really challenge them. Hey, mister, no one would give you trouble. You'd sort them out. Well, he's heading towards some lapwings. And it doesn't look like they have any youngsters or nests about, otherwise they might be starting to attack him, but they're just moving out of his way at the moment. We're going to leave this beautiful old boy to keep meandering to wherever he's meandering to, which only he knows. And while we do that, it sounds like Jamie's lions are starting to wake up.
Our cubs are definitely awake, although I think they're awake in the sense that they really just want to move towards the shade. I think that's going to be the sole extent of their movement for now. It is quite warm today, and it definitely has that storm feeling in the air, that build-up of heat. So I think that they're just making their way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I always like to do a head count. It's a bit difficult in the long grass. Hello, you lot. It was such a relief the other morning to count all 13 cubs, especially because the last few times I'd counted, I'd only managed to count 12. I'm happy to report that all 17 were there a couple of mornings ago. Come on, you lot, go and climb the tree. You know you want to. You know you want to go and climb the tree. It's nice and shady up there, I promise. I think they're just going to do some more lying around. Ha ha ha. I'm not very good at the pun of the day. I'm open to suggestions. Megan's not. Megan just said very funny. They are, though. They're just lying around watching the storm approaching. They're not as hungry as I thought they were initially. Or at least the cubs are not. I always find, though, that with the Angamas, the cubs always look better fed than the lionesses do. Well, I suppose 4 lionesses, 13 growing cubs. It's a lot of mouths to feed. The lionesses probably don't get much of a meal, even when they steal an entire warthog piglet for themselves, which we have seen them do. What's the plan next, ladies? We're going to wait for the rain. I think we're going to wait for the rain. Could be very interesting being where we are. I think we might have to move if it starts to rain. The experience of the water flowing off the escarpment has been an interesting one. It's actually meant at times that we haven't even been able to get back to camp. We've had to go a long way around. Okay, as our cubs relax in the sun or shade and enjoy their Saturday afternoon, Brent is on a roll. He's found one of the smaller scavengers.
As I said, we're going to try focus on the smaller things this afternoon. And there we go. Definitely one of my favorite little creatures, the black-backed jackal. Now, that is a pup. That is. So that looks to be, probably about 6-7 months old. And out foraging. Now, of course, they do scavenge from the big cats frequently. However, they are not adverse to catching their own prey. Even grasshoppers and small mice, various different insects, dung beetle larvae. So they are really, really adaptable, and they fill an incredible niche that no other little predator fills, and especially that they are so brazen and bold, knowing how fast they are and how they're able to get away from the big cats when they need to. Oh, what you found? Oh dear. Well, those raindrops I'm hearing, Arch, they sound like big ones. Just a few drops on the roof. A relaxing M, spot on. Small body but big brain. That is very, very true. Very adaptable. Very quick to learn new tricks. Yeah. You might start hearing that dup, dup, dup. There's some big drops falling from one small cloud. Oh, that's quite cold, that drop. Wow. I always find it fascinating to spend some time with jackal and watch them, because they seem to find meals as they move. You can see those ears also play a very important part. And you can see how they're constantly on the move, ears and nose, searching for potential prey or a potential freebie. Now, these little guys will hunt baby Thompsons, especially newborn Thompsons, even newborn Topies sometimes. And but at the moment, I think the babies are a little bit too old, so no real chance of them doing that. Let's just move back. Sinak is wondering, when would the pups stop depending on their parents? They'll hang around till they're probably about a year old, and then they've got to go find their own territory, and they'll pair off. And fortunately for them, there is huge amounts of usable land in the Mara, and they don't need very big territories here. For example, the jackal of the Kalahari Desert need probably a home range or territory 4, 5, maybe 6 times the size of the Mara jackals. Now, it looks like they decided it might be time for a little rest. And you can see the big raindrops I was talking about falling. Oh, scratch, scratch, scratch. A few fleas around. And there we go. There's a baby Topi. Oh, the little horns coming out. Very cute. Brent is wondering, do jackals bark? Well, I suppose it's not really a bark. They have an alarm bark that's sort of a... Brow, brow. Oh, look at them having a roll. Found something nice and smelly at the back there. Oh, or maybe just enjoying the temperature drop that this little bit of rain is bringing. But they yelp. It's actually one of the more beautiful calls out in the African bushveld, the yelp of a jackal. Okay, so across on the other side, there's some buffalo in the distance. Enjoying the short grass plains as well. Topi, Tommies. I just have to move to get off the road. There's a car coming. And our jackal have decided to follow the same Saturday afternoon vibes as Jamie's lions and are lazing about. So let's go from a lazing canine to a lazing feline.
Our lazy felines are feeling truly lazy as the storm slowly builds off to the east, to the northeast of us. Our lions don't look like they're planning much at all anymore. They did look alert when we first arrived. They've now relaxed, and I think this is the way they're going to spend the majority of the afternoon. So what we'll probably do is we'll probably leave them and then come back a little bit later and see what they get up to as it gets a bit cooler. Might be tricky though, if the rain comes. Be tricky to get here anyway. We'll figure it out. Senak, yes, absolutely. Lions do prefer hunting in cooler weather. And there's biological reasons for that. Lions do not have much in terms of resilience in coping with increases in body temperature. So their body systems only really can handle an increase of about 1 degree centigrade in terms of body temperature. Whereas obviously we'd feel a bit unwell, but we would still be okay. We would still survive that sort of an increase, and we could probably survive an increase of 2 or 3 degrees. Although having reached that point, we would be feeling very unwell indeed. So it's part of nature's way in this regard to keep them out of competition with things like with hunters like people. And I'm talking sort of back in the days of hunting and gathering. It would have kept them out of our way. It reduces competition. And at the same time, I have seen lions run for 2 kilometers on a very hot day. So, it's all relative. They don't read the textbooks, but they do, as a general rule, prefer hunting in cooler weather. They're usually active in the morning or the afternoon or throughout the night, depending on the amount of ambient light that is available to them. And a storm like this, first of all, has the advantage of cooling the temperatures down, but also, most importantly, makes hunting conditions easier for them. A storm is a disorienting thing for their prey animals. They can't see properly, they can't smell properly, they can't hear properly, and as a result, the lions are able to get closer and take advantage of that confusion. You can really see the storm is starting to build off in the distance. The rain across the ridge is coming for us. Not across the ridge is a little bit more east, but it's coming across the marsh, making its way towards us. I've given up trying to predict the weather here. I really have. I thought yesterday we'd be safe. We were the exact opposite. And we couldn't have been more in the direct line of the storm if we'd tried. So I've abandoned all attempts at predicting what's going to happen. There's one of our younger cubs, gone for a little bit of a cuddle with Mum. probably won't stay there for too long. It's going to be a bit too hot. Yep, here we go. Come on, the shade is calling. Or possibly a cooler spot in the grass. Cuddles aren't as enjoyable when it's very hot. Randall, I know it's one of my favourite things about lion cubs as well. Their big paws, like Great Dane puppies. There's a little reminder as to just how much growing they still have to do. And these giant flapping paws of theirs. I couldn't agree with you more. It always amazed me throughout my time as a guide, tracking lion cubs, and knowing how tiny they are and looking at the size of the tracks that they leave behind. It's a fascinating thing. Like really, puppies that are going to be very, very big dogs. Marvelous. Aaron, you're a legend. Aaron says that the lions just need to pause and rest before what was it? Help me out, Begs. The lions need to pause and rest before the main event. That was it. Before the main event, it's going to be a roaring success. Genius. Bravo, Aaron. Certainly a great deal better than my lying around pun. The main event, love it. Especially as we're talking about pause as well. It's brilliant. Pause for thought. Lilu, no, the paws don't say that. So let's try that sentence again. The paws don't stay the same size as they grow up, but they certainly grow or seem to grow faster than the rest of the cubs do. And in certain situations, it also looks as though they're really growing into their ears as well, which sort of look too big for their faces. But the paws will continue to grow. They haven't reached the size that they will be when they reach adulthood. And you can still see the difference between a cub track and an adult's track. But they are much, much larger in proportion to their bodies than the paws of an adult. Oh, already? Oh dear. I thought we had it some time. We apparently don't. It's raining. Where's this come from now? Behind me. Ah, here we go again. Well, changes my plans about leaving the lions, because at this point we're probably going to have to stay exactly where we are. Hello, Rain. Long time no see. That snuck up on me. Oh well, there's nothing quite like watching lions in the rain. They're like domestic house cats that have been given a bath. Okay, I don't think we need to cover up yet. We're still okay in terms of rain covers. I don't think it's going to be too serious, although I've said that before and been caught out. So while we make that decision and I confer with my colleagues, let us send you across to Brent, who's gone on a little bit of a bumble.
And at the moment, hello Archie, we're live. I think you might have lost comms. Hi! And I'm staring into the puddles, looking for frogs at the moment. As I said, looking a bit closer for the smaller things. Hi Marissa. Marissa's wondering if I have been in the Mara the longest out of all the Wild Earth presenters. I have, Marissa, I have. I got into Kenya on the 1st of May, and I was in the Mara by the 3rd. So initially I was supposed to drive down our first vehicles from Nairobi, but they weren't ready. So we were still busy getting the balloons sorted out and stuff like that. So Graham and I flew down. Steph had driven in, and he arrived, I think actually Steph arrived the day before we did. And then on the morning of the 3rd or the 4th, and we arrived, I think, on the 2nd. Could have been the 2nd? No, the 3rd. The evening of the 3rd, morning of the 4th, Graham, Steph, and myself went on a balloon safari. It was my first balloon safari, so it was quite exciting. But out of the presenters here, Steph was here, but Steph was busy building the camp, so he didn't actually spend much time in the field. So Eggsy and I spent a lot of time exploring the Mara, working stuff out. And then the next presenter to arrive was Jamie, and then James, then Scott, then Taylor. And now, I think in the next couple of days, Rolf is arriving. Let's have a look. So that's second, about where my finger is. Up there, I saw a bird land. Let's have a quick look. There we go. It's there. Just need to focus on the bush closest to us. Okay, a little bit up. There we go. It's a rattling testicular. Hello, little testicular. Do you see it, Arch?
No.
Here we go. Boop, off it went. Little rattling testicular. Now, I wonder, I can't remember, has anyone got a tropical boo-boo on camera yet? We hear them calling frequently, and I see them in camp all the time. But I think this is a good spot. Oh, we've got some canaries up ahead as well. Okay. Well, let's start with the sparrows. We've got some sparrows in the road. Grey-headed sparrows. You've got to look out carefully for Swahili sparrows. They've got a much bigger bill than your normal sparrow. And I'm trying to see carefully there now. You can hear there's lots of birds in this little patch on the edge of the forest. I think that is exactly what we've been looking for, because I don't think we have seen it yet on the live safaris. And unfortunately, I don't think it's a Swahili sparrow. I think it is just our unfortunate, well, not unfortunate, but it is a grey-headed sparrow, but it is the northern grey-headed sparrow, which is different from the one you get in the Sabi Sands. And in the road, we have a canary. See the yellow guy hopping towards us? Hello, little canary. No, not that one. Closer to us, Arch. That's still sparrows. Come. Oh, there he goes. He just flew off. Let's watch where he goes. Oh, there's another one now. It's landed in the middle of the road. There we go. Now, who can tell me which canary this is? Hashtag Safari Live if you know what canary that is. Could be a new one for a few people's bird lists. There we go. And I can hear one of the most beautiful birds in the Mara calling. I'm just going to go forward a little bit. It's a white-browed robin chat. Oh, I can also hear some sunbirds here. I can hear something quite strange. I'm just trying to work out what it is. It was, oh, there we go. New bird for a few of you. I'm just going to try to sneak forward. Don't fly. Where did it go? It's just Let's watch where it goes. There they go. Oh, amethyst or plum-coloured starlings, a male and female, but they've disappeared. Now I can hear a white-browed robin chat calling in this area. And it says brimstone canary. It's not a brimstone canary. A brimstone canary used to be called a bully canary. It's the biggest of the canaries. It's also got a very big bill. And around bird tables and bird feeders, it tends to bully the other smaller birds. Well done, Mafuta, yellow-fronted canary. Let's just have a quick look at the base of that tree there. There's a few birds there. Before we go closer and disturb them, let's have a look what we got. Oh, there's another one of the canaries. Let's have a look at that. Aha. There's a good one. That is a nice little bird for the Mara. It is so nice if you just get the chance to spend some time in these little forest patches. Oh, off it went. Now, Sinak is wondering, do sparrows, oh, look at the canaries having a little chat there, have subspecies? No, they're actually full different species. They come from, a lot of them come from the same, oh, sorry, the sparrows, not the canaries. They come from the same, oh, hello, that's a female violet-backed starling that's just landed. Now, where's the male? Oh, so now, often when you see a female, the male's not far behind. Now, that dark-coloured bird we saw a little bit earlier, it's a black flycatcher. We've got lots of birds here. I'm going to try sneak a little bit closer and further down the road again. Tell you what, sneaking up on birds is sometimes far harder than trying to find a big cat. Okay, sorry about that. I think this little forest patch we're in is giving us a little bit of breakup, so I'm not going to move too much. Oh, there we go, another yellow-fronted canary there. Oh, listen to them go. We've got lots of calls going on around us. That's the white-brown robin chat. Let's go. Oh, there's a fork-tailed drongo right on top, but to this tree, let's go up to about the middle of the tree. Just come wide a bit so I can just show you where it is. I don't think we're going to be able to get it. The roof's in the way. Dag nabbit. And hopefully they come a bit lower. Oh, Brent, sorry, I forgot. What is the fastest bird in the area? It is most definitely, without a doubt, the peregrine falcon, which is the fastest animal in the world. Hit terminal velocity in its dive to catch prey. Oh, I can hear the robin chat calling, and I'm scared to move. Oh, I can hear grey-capped warblers, I can hear turacos. Just trying to wait for something to pop out where we can see it. Okay, I'm going to risk moving forward a little bit. Hopefully, just as I get around this little bend in front of us, we will be clear of the forest that's causing us the picture breakup. But so while I move forward slightly, let's go back to Jamie and the lions.
Our lions are... something did attract their attention a little bit earlier. My sneaky suspicion is that it was the baby Topi wandering about. But the cubs have relaxed again. Obviously, the cubs are more naturally inclined towards curiosity, and at this age are now taking a real serious interest in the whole hunting process. They don't quite know how to do it yet, though, and they're certainly not large enough to do it very well, but it's on their minds, and that instinct is really starting to kick in. And they'll be following their mothers along. They're still, I've noticed, quite well behaved during the hunts. But yes, absolutely. While moving about at night, Andrea, the whiskers do help them to navigate. Obviously, a cat's whiskers or a dog's whiskers are a very, very sensitive thing. And particularly for something like a leopard, and if you have a look at the size and the length of a leopard's whiskers, you'll see just how long and beautiful they are. For something that moves in thick vegetation or dense vegetation at night, a whisker can be a life-saving thing, or at least an eye-saving thing, while they're walking through, because it'll pick up on a branch or a spine or something that might otherwise poke the animal in the eye. So yes, there's a great deal of feeling attached to the whiskers, and part of that, the part of the purpose behind that is to help them to navigate in the dark. Although their eyesight is so phenomenally good, it's just a little additional aspect to the way that they move about, moving through the grass, whatever it may be. And I'm sure they pick up all sorts of other sensations as well through those whiskers. So yes, they're very sensitive. Just like your cats or dogs at home. Alright, brain is starting up once again. I don't think it's too serious though. That sounds like a very interesting thing. Brent has found you a bird that's having some dinner.
Well, we can't exactly see what it's eating, but it is a grey hornbill. It looks like a really big water scorpion or a really big longhorn beetle that it's managed to catch. That's a massive meal. I think it's a water scorpion. Yeah. And we don't see the hornbills too often in the Mara, and this one just dive-bombed out of a tree. Whoa! Don't let it get away. That is a massive meal for that hornbill. Now, of course, water scorpions don't sting like normal scorpions. They just have a long tail that resembles a sting. Well done, hornbill. That's a big meal. Isn't this cool? Well, they decided it's been sufficiently tamed that it can be eaten at leisure in a tree where it's safe. Lovely camera work there, Archie. Okay, we're going to move a little bit further down the road here. Unfortunately, that white-browed robin chat was quite deep inside the forest where we weren't going to go there. But there's always a good chance for them and boo-boos along this little lugger. Well, hello. There's a female sooty chat sitting there so nicely that we can't say no to her. Hello. Males have a far more distinct white patch. Sneaky chats, because there's a bird that looks very, very similar, and that is the northern ant-eating chat. However, the northern ant-eating chat, the little bit of white on the wing, is much lower down. It's not on the shoulder, where there is on the sooty chats. The white, even on the male and female, is quite high. And sometimes the white is not even visible. There we go. You saw it there quite nicely. Ooh, a big storm rolling in behind us. Relaxing M says it kind of looks like a crow to me. It is not a crow at all. It is quite small. It's probably, I don't know where you're from, Relaxing M, but about the same size as a robin. If you have robins where you're from, a blue jay, that sort of size, so much smaller than a crow. Actually, that reminds me, one of the coolest things Jamie and I saw on our holiday to Uganda was a type of crow, and it's got a very strange name. It's called a pipiak, if I remember correctly. I'll try to find you a picture of it shortly. There we go. It is very cool. It's a very small crow with a really long tail. A pipiak. Piapiak. And we saw quite big flocks of them in and around Ginger. Very, very cool. Very noisy as well, like most crow species. Oh, I can hear some more birds up ahead at the little lugger. Let's go see what feathered friends await us just ahead. I've been seeing a lot of grey kestrels recently as well, but it sounds like Jamie's decided the lions are being a little bit lazy, so I'm sure she's going to do a loop, see what else she can find before going back to them.
Well, that's pretty much exactly the plan. It's not so much that the lions are being lazy as there are quite a few other vehicles that want to enjoy the sighting, and there's not that much space. So I already felt like I was blocking it off. So I've moved out so that the other vehicles can have a quick look, and then we'll come back a little bit later. Joey, where though? Is it there? Am I going mad? I'm going mad. I lost the road. Completely lost the road out of here. I thought it was much further up. Shows how much attention I've been paying. There we go. I see. How did I even miss that? I don't know. Oh dear. Oh well. Brent once very scientifically and with great certainty told me that he'd read a study that men were better at telling the difference between left and right than women were. It was very entertaining. I did have a good chuckle. He was saying, no, but you have to wear a watch or something on your left so that you know. I'm like, no. Although I don't think I just helped my case there. Alrighty. So the baby topi's still around, but it's quite far up. I've never thought about it before. Trista would like to know what my favorite hoofed animal is in the Mara. It's a really, really good question. I'm just going through the list in my head. I really like eland. I really like warthogs. Really like warthogs. Klipspringer. We haven't managed to put one on camera yet, I don't think. Little rock hopper antelope. My favorite hoofed animal in the Mara. I love zebra. That is a really difficult choice to make. I've never had to think about that before. Because that doesn't, that's not like a question of what's my favorite antelope or anything like that. That's quite a serious selection. I love giraffe. Okay, I'm gonna say giraffe, then eland, then warthog. What are your favorite hoofed animals in the Mara? Hooved animals in the Mara. Okay, so Megs and I are on the same page. Meg says giraffe is her top of her list as well. I'm gonna say giraffe. I don't think a rhino really counts as having hooves, so that doesn't. No, it's definitely the animals like warthogs and giraffe, eland, warthog, I think. think that's my answer. I'm going to go to those elephants. I want to go and have a look at them. They are very far away though. This morning we were watching an elephant herd. What was that? Sorry, Megs? Brent says dik-dik. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I didn't even think of a dik-dik, to be honest. And they're such odd-looking little antelope. That can go as number 4 on my list, but that's Brent's top of the... There's a pallid harrier. Oh, let's try and get you on camera. Are you going to land? Are you going to land? No, you're going to go right behind me. Oh, it's such a pretty bird. Please don't let there be a car behind me, otherwise we're in major trouble. Oh, nice, Jahawi. Well done. Pallid harrier. Well done. They never sit still, so a massive high five to Jahawi for getting that on camera. I've been dying to do that for ages. I just want to see if it's going to come round again. Then at least this time we're forewarned. Oh no, don't do this. No, 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 no. Good, I'm so glad I'm in the middle of the road. Ah! I've lost the harrier. I can still see the harrier, it's very far away though. Well done, Jahawi. As it flies away off towards the escarpment. At least we managed that. Pallid harrier. I actually want to show you a picture. Nursey. My standard answer to that question, so Nursey's question is, if I could be a bird, what would I be? I would be a shikra, which is a tiny little goshawk species, tiny little bird of prey. And the reason that I would be a little shikra is because they are such agile little creatures. They move so quickly and so smoothly through the air. And I'm not a particularly big or bulky person, so I'm going to go with a shikra. Lions are starting... Nah, they're just shifting around. I would go with a shikra. A lot of people, when asked that question, a lot of our crew members all say martial eagles as the biggest of the birds. Although I wouldn't mind being a secretary bird and just stalking around on those long legs. Or a crowned crane. Crowned cranes are so fabulous looking. I wanted to show you a picture of the pallid harrier, but I just wanted to get off the main... Hold on. What is that over there moving there? Is that another lion or is that an antelope? Just hold on 1 second. I thought those lions looked more alert than normal. That's an antelope. No, it's a lion. Where did you even come from? 2 lions. Where are you off to? Okay, hold on. The game has changed. Oh, sorry, Jahawi. I've lost both of them. There's 2 lionesses that have gone right, basically to the right of the pride, and are now walking towards the warthog that's jogging over there at the back. Oh, this is such an impossible area. It's so difficult for us to navigate. I'll try and help Jahawi out in a second once I can release my binoculars from the tangle of cables that they're currently wrapped in. I can't see either of the lionesses now. You see the warthog over there that's jogging all the way over there to the gone behind, or possibly into a burrow. That's what they were after. Oh, there they go. There goes the warthog, all the way there across. Gone again. Okay, so there's the lioness, Jahawi. If you look to the... So you've got that lioness. To the left of her, I saw a lioness. I'm really not helping Jahawi here because now I've lost it again. So there's 2 lionesses wandering about somewhere there, and there's a third that was on her way up as well. And this is such a tricky spot because unfortunately, no matter which way round we go, it's impossible for us to off-road here. It's essentially a marsh, and if we do off-road here, even though we're allowed to off-road in this area, we are going to do tremendous damage and leave enormous ruts in the vegetation itself, which I don't really want to do, but I do want to sit and just settle here for a moment and watch what these lionesses do. That was unfortunate. They must have been watching those warthogs the entire time. So there's the lioness number 1 at the log. Lioness number 2 is all the way up towards the tree line, and she's still going. I think we should turn back, but I'm not sure where we're turning back to. I'm not sure which direction these lionesses are going. If they go into the forest, there's nothing we can do. So from that lioness, Jahawi, if you just pan straight to the left, if you sort of stay on that level and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going, past the big fig, quite a bit past that big fig. That is a log. Keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And we should see her sitting if you just keep going a little bit further. There. That's where the second lioness is. So she's gone all the way up into the tree line. Get it? Tree line? Oh dear. She's gone all the way up there. And I think they were after the warthogs that have now run away, but I have been caught out so many times recently with warthog hunts. See, look, now she's up again. I know it's very far away, but this is actually probably the best view that we're going to have. She's up again. Definitely looks like she's still stalking something. I'm just going to try and see if I can figure out what it is so we can at least attempt to predict what they're going to do. Lioness number 1 is now walking back towards her. Randall, I would be completely and utterly lying to you if I said yes. So Randall wants to know if I think that the lions find security with our presence. Hold on a sec, sorry, I'm going to need to move from my position parked spectacularly in the middle of the road. At least the key turned this time, because he doesn't look like he wants to wait. Hi. Fine, thanks. How are you? Good, good. The lions are just there. Yeah. Cool. Enjoy. What was I talking about? Oh yes, lions. Oh, where'd you go? Lions being comforted by our presence. No, I don't think that they find any comfort in our presence. I think that we are essentially just a necessary part of their world, like termite mounds. And she's stalking again. What is she stalking? Pigs. Pigs that have now run foolishly. Hello. This is going to be so difficult. I wish I had not left, but I left to make space for people. I was being polite. There's now warthogs that are standing in absolute confusion where the rest of the pride are, just in front of them. And it's going to be so hard to get ourselves into a good spot now. We won't have time. Jahawi, how close is that car behind us? Far. Okay, so I can swing to make your life easier. Because those pigs are about to get a serious fright. Oh no, here comes a car. Ah! Main road. This is not where one wants a situation like this. I think we're going to have to take a chance because I can't keep jiggling backwards and forwards like this. We're just going to have to take the chance and try and get back there. Unfortunately. Try and beat the other cars that side. Oh no, don't do that here. Okay, I'm going to race across and try and get us into a better position where we can actually see what's going on. Let's go across to Brent, who's found one of the cutest baby animals the wilderness has to offer.
Well, this one thinks he's about 20 foot tall. He just chased lions all by himself, that little elephant. He just trumpeted and charged, and 2 lion cubs came roaring out of the bush. I can't see where the lions are now, but I think the lions weren't so much running from the little elephant as to the fact that as soon as it started trumpeting, Mom and older sibling decided to come have a look. I'm just going to move forward a little bit so I can just make out one of the lions. Oh, they're still, those little lions took off. And look, and they've run. They're the rest of the pride. I can see them now. Those little lion cubs, well, one of them is still running. There's one, and off to the right, between the gap and the trees, there we go. Can see one moving through the grass. Oh, Mom, oh, there's the little one. Mom's head suddenly popped up. So with the Marsh Breakaway Pride or Olololo Pride, depending on who you talk to, that little elephant just charged 2 of the little ones, and they took off towards the adults. We go a little bit to the right. There we go. There are the adults. Not too perturbed. The lions managed to make sure there was a considerable amount of distance between them and the rest of the elephant family that was on its way. I think the wind might have just changed. That little baby was very close to where the cubs were sleeping and suddenly caught wind of them and decided it was going to show them how big he really was. Well, they haven't. Just the little ones up, the rest of them are still asleep. Now, I actually came into this area looking for rhino, and we spotted the baby Ellie, and then all of a sudden it was charging at the lions. And the lions came flying out of the lugger. Looking a little bit bewildered after being chased by something that wasn't much bigger than them. Nursey is wondering, if a lion loses a claw, will it grow a new one? No, as far as I know, if it breaks the tip off the claw, maybe a bit will grow, but if the claw completely comes out, as far as I'm aware, I don't think it will grow a new one, but I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to double check on that for you, Nursey. Actually, no, I'm going to have to double check. I'm not 100% sure. I don't think so, but then again, I could be wrong. Wind is starting to pick up, and you can see it's quite hazy. Lots of moisture around at the moment. Now, Nursey is wondering, how many millimeters of rain does the Mara get a year? Well, it gets between 1,200 and 1,300 mils a year, which is a huge amount of rain if you consider the fact that the Sabi Sands only gets about 300. But I just remembered there, Nursey, that lions are unable to regrow their claws. I did remember. I was pretty sure about that, but it sounds like Jamie's lions have spotted some swine.
They have indeed. Unfortunately, no matter where we'd been we wouldn't have actually managed to capture that on camera. It was right in the lugger. So for our sensitive viewers, perhaps something you want to turn away from, although this warthog is no longer alive. So there's no struggling, no suffering happening. Our lioness has managed to catch up with one of the larger piglets. I don't know how she managed that. I knew with a warthog hunt like this that the surprises are always around the corner because you actually can't keep track of how many warthogs there are. I agree completely. James is absolutely spot on. The one animal one does not want to be in the Mara at the moment is the warthog. Now that the wildebeest have gone, they are on absolutely everybody's menu. So now, the question is anybody else going to get any of this warthog piglet, or is this lioness going to keep it for herself? You can see she's carrying it off away from the rest of the pride. There's one lioness sneaking up behind her. Now, it remains to be seen if she's actually going to allow the cubs any of it, or if she's simply going to finish it off herself. The last time we saw the Angama ladies catch warthogs, they caught 3 between 3 of the lionesses, and they all, each and every one of them, finished off one. Oh dear. Well, we simply couldn't be in the right place at the right time this time around. There comes the lioness sneaking up on her. We might actually get a bit of a scrap here. She's trying to use the termite mound to her advantage. Into a place we cannot... Oh, she's been approached on both sides. There's a lioness to her right and a lioness to her left. And the lioness to her left is walking with great intent. In fact, almost like she wants to sneak up and snatch. I don't know if you can see her, Jahawi. I think she's behind the tree. That tree there. Run right in the middle. She's there. She's just about to come forward. No, our lioness is taking her prize. She is not taking any chances. This is where there's a small meal, you find that lions tend to have really quite serious scraps over the food that they have. The cubs are now aware of what's gone on. They're trying to make their way forward. She's being closely followed. Oh dear, now we might have to go all the way around again. Here comes lioness. Uh-oh. Oh, there's some serious scrapping going on. Hold on. Oh no, hold on. They might come back up this way. It's a really tricky area. We shouldn't really be driving over that particular spot. The Jersey lady, you say, well done, lioness. Yes, well done, lioness, indeed. Unfortunate for the warthog, but for the lioness, a fantastic, fantastic thing. Now, there are lots of cars here. I just want to try and figure out if we can make our way this way. Shame, everybody's being so polite to us at the moment. Well, we can do it. We can do it, and we're not doing any damage here. It's just the marshy bit that I don't want to go into. Or a hole. I don't want to go into one of them either. Oh, hold on. Where are they now? There we go. I think one lioness is going to have grabbed hold of the warthog. Here come the cubs. The cubs are coming in. Oh, sweet. Okay, just listen to the sound effects that are happening here. There we go, 4 lions piled on top of one very small warthog, about to be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 little lions, all coming in to join. Let's see whether they can get a bite in edgeways, but you can barely even see there's a pig in there. Oh, little cub trying to force its way in. You will hear some of the other vehicles coming through as they come and enjoy the sighting as well. I've sort of blocked up the entire sighting, which I'm starting to feel a little guilty about. We are going to have to move, guys, because we have completely blocked everyone else's view. We're just going to do a quick shuffle around. Just waiting for this last cub. There's a gap. Okay, we're going to just go a little bit further forward so we're out of everybody's way. There we go. Now everybody's got plenty of space. Here we go. Tucked in to their warthog kill. So that was quite a dramatic, a sort of anticlimactic hunt in a way. We didn't quite get there in time, but I'm glad to see that the lionesses have caught something. It's not going to go very far at all though, and there's going to be a few hungry bellies. Oh, exactly. Francis, watching in Israel, Francis says that they're basically getting 2 mouthfuls each. That is exactly spot on. That is all that they're going to get. It's starting to rain. There are lots of warthog about though, so this could just be the first of a few meals. They are essentially surviving on warthog at the moment. They really are. Oh, the sound effects are amazing. Just listen. Sheer power. I wonder what she got away with. The entire kill, was all that was left? That was incredible. Oh, listen. Shame, little cubs. Going hungry, even though a kill's been made. This is not the way you like things, is it? And one lioness walks away with the prize. Catherine, you say shame. These poor lionesses have to work so hard to feed everyone. I know. These poor girls. It's now pouring with rain, by the way. 4 females and 13 cubs, it's a lot of mouths to feed. It really is. And I think the last of that warthog, I can't believe how quickly they'd already consumed a huge amount of it, but she actually managed to pull that away. I wish we could have got that in slow motion. I wish we could rewind and go back and do that in slow motion, because she just launched backwards. It was absolutely incredible. The sheer strength, she just ditched every other lion here. So she's just hidden beyond that termite mound. I'm not going to reposition though, because, well, actually I might have to. The rain is now pouring, not pouring in. How are we doing there, Joe? How are you? Okay?
It's okay.
Equipment okay?
Yeah.
We're waterproof, of course, but our equipment is not. And you can imagine there's a fair amount of equipment in our vehicles that doesn't particularly like water. Oh, sorry, little cub. Next meal. Here you go. Mom will comfort you. Next time. Okay, you want to know why they aren't hunting larger prey? They are hunting, they're still feeding off larger prey, but the truth is, at the moment, in this particular area, there's very little around for them to actually be able to hunt. The topi are few and far between. The zebra have all but vanished. Most of them are up at the top of the escarpment around our camp, keeping us entertained long into the night with their gastric sound effects. So there's actually, at the moment, there's very, very little for them to eat other than warthog. And at the moment, the warthog are the easiest meals, especially because there's so many little baby warthog wandering about. Look, if a zebra had been a bit closer, if the conditions had been right, absolutely these lioness would have gone after a zebra or a buffalo. It just so happens that warthog are the most numerous of their potential prey species, which is why they're feeding so much on warthog at the moment. And they really are. Their diet is almost entirely warthog based. Now the Angamas are lucky where they are. There's at least quite a few herds of various large animals up against the escarpment, but the sausage tree pride, the small sausage tree pride, I honestly don't know what they're feeding on at the moment. Obviously they're eating warthog, but I've driven round there a few days in a row, and I have found nothing, absolutely nothing for those lions to eat. And it's such a swing and roundabout, because we talk about how incredibly well fed they are and how they gorge themselves during the migration, but now seeing the lack of available options, I really don't blame them. There's so little food about for the certain prides. Well, that was quite exciting. I mean, lions chasing warthogs, lions playing tug-of-war, but macabre, but playing tug-of-war with a warthog carcass. Let's head back across to Brent, who apparently is still continuing a search for feathered friends.
Yes, well, we've left the lions that we had. They were definitely not as active as Jamie's. And I'm looking for rhino at the moment. So I'm just perusing the edge of these croton thickets and hoping to find the rhino. I think I saw 7 different rhino in one day in this area. So I'm hoping now that it's a bit cooler, they might make an appearance. There are some particularly muddy spots as we go through here. As you can see, quite quiet. It seems as the temperature just dropped quite a lot. Even the birds seem to sort of keep quiet for a while. Ooh, which way do we go? Which way do we go? I think we go this way. Someone got stuck here, and you can see all the sticks that have been put in there. Hold on! Whee! Slippery slidey! Sorry about that, Megs. I was concentrating. Can you go again with that question? Very good question, in fact, from James. And what are our chances of seeing a flamingo in the Mara? Better than our chance of seeing a flamingo at Djuma. Although, there was a flamingo seen on the Sand River once many years ago. So, there are 2 quite big breeding populations of flamingos. Lake Natron, which is just south of us in Tanzania. And then, of course, Lake Nakuru, which is north of us. So there might be a flamingo, a good chance that a flamingo that is blown off course by a storm and just rests to land and waits and recuperate in the Mara. They do turn up in very strange places, flamingos, from time to time. So there's actually a reasonable chance of seeing a flamingo in the Mara. I'm pretty sure if I went digging, we'd find some records of flamingos being seen in the Mara. Particularly because we're between 2 well-known breeding and feeding grounds. Okay, now the rhinos seem to be very much hiding today. I thought with this cool weather they would definitely be out. We're starting to get a few big spots of rain again. But again, from one little cloud, hopefully it stays away. Oof, cold raindrops, cold. Okay, I'm just going to have to stop while this rain is coming down a little bit harder. Just turn away from it so it doesn't come in the car. Goo is wondering, do the rhinos have names in the Mara? They do. Unfortunately, I don't know them at all. And I know we are trying to get hold of the document that gives us the names of all the Maras and the rhinos in the Mara. Where are my binoculars? I know I had them earlier. Names of the rhinos in the Mara and their different ID features. No, false alarm. But it's suddenly the temperature's dropped probably 3 or 4 degrees. There's a bit of rain coming down, not too heavy. If I keep still, it should be fine. And sometimes, if you sit still, even if you're not meaning to sit still to look for something, and you spot stuff that you might have missed while you're driving. And you can hear the pitter-patter of raindrops on the roof. You can see there's a bit of rain up towards camp and final control, causing a bit of haze over there. Some beautiful clouds. I must say that the skies in the Mara are something spectacular, and a lot of those beautiful skies are made by the big rain clouds we have. Let's just have a quick look around. It's amazing. I almost think the birds knew that this little bit of rain was coming, so they all just sort of hunkered down. Now, a lot of animals can predict precipitation before we can. Although, as a standard rule, I say in the afternoons in the Mara at this time of the year, it is going to rain somewhere, and I'll be right every time. Okay, seems like it's softened up a bit, so we can keep moving again. You don't want to be stuck on one of these roads when it's really raining. It becomes, you're not so much in danger of being stuck, but is just covering your car and yourself in mud. Sometimes it's quite fun because you just end up driving sideways a lot of the time. And especially with our vehicles, because of the roof and where the weight of the roof sits, so we don't have any poles in the way. We're very back heavy, which makes it quite fun because we slide out a bit. I have on purpose once done a full 360 and ended up facing the same direction that I was going. But I'm very fortunate. I was taught how to drive in very thick mud from about the age of 12 years old on the farm. And I've driven tractors and bulldozers and all sorts of things in the mud. And then not too long after that, I learned how to drive in thick sand. So I'm pretty covered when it comes to not getting stuck. But while I continue the search for the black rhinos, let's go across to Jamie, who's still with the Angamas.
Coming from the person who was the first person in this particular adventure to the Mara to get stuck. A couple of times, if I remember correctly, not to point anything out, but you know, just a casual reference. The odd unexpected hole, I think, was the large. I'm not going to count the first few times because that was a broken vehicle, but I'm pretty sure there was an accidental reversing into an unexpected hole. But you know, don't mind me on that subject. What do I know? So the Angamas have calmed down. The cubs have come for a little bit of solace from their various mothers. A little bit of comforting. You can see now as that lioness rolled over that she is no longer suckling. I've been looking at the Angamas. There's only one lioness that still has milk, that's still producing milk. She's the lioness up at the top and to the right. So she's still suckling. The other three are not. She's the only one that's still producing milk. So one of the youngsters is gone now that it's found itself without a mouthful of warthog to go and suckle from her. The advantage, of course, that the older cubs have is that they will be able to suckle until the youngest ones are weaned. But in this case, the little one has gone to try and comfort itself. Shame. Alex, no. As big cats, they are, I suppose you could call them quite fastidious about their personal hygiene, or to a degree, as much as they can be. So Alex is wondering if they only groom after they eat, And the answer to that is no. They don't only groom after they eat. They will groom before they move. They make sure that their claw sheaths are free of dirt, which makes sense so that they can slide their claws in and out. And they groom each other as part of the bonding experience. So obviously the pride members are all related to each other, but they do reinforce those bonds, and their entire future and survival essentially depends upon each other. And they grow up together, they grow old together, so they really are actually quite fond of each other. And a lot of that grooming is done as a way of... Oh, here comes the lioness with the warthog. Still half of it left. She obviously hasn't had much peace in terms of finishing it off. It's a bit of a gruesome image. If she picks it up again, you'll see it's just the head and the shoulders left. I think this is probably the lioness that caught the warthog in the first place. You'll probably find that she has a degree of determination. Oh, snarling already as the young cub comes to try and take his chance. Telling them to back off. So you can see her licking. That's not her licking at the warthog to try and clean it or anything. She's got an exceptionally rough tongue, and she's using that to clear away the fur, and also in potentially to actually strip meat from bone. So the spurs on her tongue are unbelievably rough. Those of you with house cats will know how rough the cat's tongue is. You can imagine what it is like on a lion that is, let's say, a little bit bigger than a domestic tabby. You get an idea as to just how rough their tongues really are. But most, they will actually groom each other and themselves after they've eaten a meal to help to stay clean. So they essentially use each other as napkins. There we go, munching using her carnassial shear to slice away at the meat. And she's probably going to eat this entire baby warthog, bones and all. At a young age, the bones are actually quite soft. So for when baby animals are caught and eaten, you'll often find that the predator eats the entire baby animal. The bones that are solid bone are very small, and even a lion or a leopard will be capable of consuming them. It makes a very good meal, a very hearty meal for a predator. Obviously in this case, not very much of it though, and not enough to share. And it might seem, for those of you that are unfamiliar with lions, might seem a bit selfish that she doesn't share. But she, it's really all about making sure that she stays fit and healthy, because she's of absolutely no use to her cubs if she isn't. Oh, a warthog piglet is not much of a meal, but Zach, yes, occasionally lions do attack elephants. It's very rare. It does occasionally happen in the Mara, apparently, I've been told. But it's a very rare thing, because hunting an elephant is a dangerous task and a draining task for a pride of lions. You need a big pride of lions. It would be helpful for them to have a male or two with them. And you'll find that certain prides are ones that specialize in hunting elephants. The ones in Botswana, for example, or certain prides in Botswana have specialized. Oh, you are being very brave. Maybe not that. Oh, goodness. She's facing an onslaught now. You can see the caution in the cub's body language. You go first. No, you go first. Okay, I'll go first. Mom. Like siblings going to ask their mother for money, or if she'll take them somewhere. Sneaking up on her. Sorry guys, I don't think it's a very good idea. So bravery has brought them so far but no further. They're not quite willing to risk the pure fury of the lioness. Okay, so it's been an exciting afternoon in the Masai Mara, such an exciting afternoon that I almost completely forgot about the fact that we're going to be joined by our crew back in South Africa. So off you go halfway across the continent to say hello to my friend Tristan.
Very sunny, warm, beautiful Djuma Game Reserve. You can see some Nyala in the background, and hopefully it's going to be a wonderful afternoon as we negotiate the southern parts of Africa. My name is Tristan, and on camera today I've got VM the Wildebeest once again. And like I say, we are coming to you live from South Africa, which means that hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or YouTube chat should you want to get hold of us. Now, we are slowly but surely meandering our way northwards, and the reason why is because there are reports of wild dogs being in the area, and the dogs have been an absolute treat for us over this week. The course of this week, they've been seen regularly by many people except myself and VM. VM and I have not seen the dogs this week, but I think Noel and Scott and Steph and James and pretty much everybody else have seen them, so we're going to try and see if we can find them this afternoon. But we got a bit distracted by some Nyala that are slowly just moving down towards a drainage line in the thicket. At the end of the day, the sun is still high in the sky, it's warm, and so these guys are trying to just negotiate a little bit of some shade in order to just keep nice and cool in the hot sunshine. And there's a beautiful young male there that is slowly but surely starting to get his beard. You can see the little beard is starting to grow. Horns are all still quite small, and that's why he's still with his mother. He's probably about a year and a half old, and they generally do stay with their mom until the next little one gets to about a year before they then move on. Right, let's carry on. The dogs shouldn't be too far if it is where I think it is. Apparently they were seen somewhere close to the fire break, which is in about, I would say, 2 minutes we would be there, so it's not very far at all. And hopefully what's going to happen is we're going to have a situation where they're going to be fairly stationary to start with, and then they're going to take us on an adventure. That's the idea anyway. Whether or not it plays out that way remains to be seen, and whether or not we find them remains to be seen. But it has been a long time since I've spent any sort of extended length of time with wild dogs, and so I'm super looking forward to this afternoon. Hopefully we will find them. Oh, hello. You're not a wild dog, but you are also quite beautiful. So there are some ellies, which I didn't see at all because I was so busy having a look at the road and talking to all of you that I missed an entire herd of elephants to my right hand side. And the ellies all of a sudden are absolutely everywhere. We have seen elephants all over Quarantine, all over around the camp and at the dams, and they just seem to be loving the fact that we've had a bit of rain and everything is lushed up and there's green grass and leaves and all of those kind of things. And so it's really made a situation where, you know, the elephants have come back en masse, and I'm still waiting to catch up with Fang. I've been looking for her. I haven't yet seen her, which is not ideal, but hopefully I will at some point soon. I'm sure she is around. I know Steph saw her yesterday, and so I'm pretty sure she is on Djuma somewhere. It's just a matter of finding her. Trista, you're wondering if elephants can get ticks. Most certainly they can. So you will read books and you will hear people talk about the fact that there's no oxpeckers on elephants because there's no ticks. Now that is not true. Elephants do get ticks. In particular, a type of white-grey tick that seems to favor elephants. I find that it often is between their legs for some reason. I don't find it really many other places. Sometimes on the tail area and around the tail, but mostly in between their legs where the skin is at its absolute softest, and that's where they then accumulate, and you'll find these big white-grey ticks between their legs. So it does happen from time to time. These ellies, unfortunately, are heading into really dense bush, so I think I'm going to carry on and just try and see if I can get the dogs, in case they get up and move, before any ellies chase them, and we'll try and catch up with some ellies a bit later. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a number of them in the area. I've already seen some as we left camp, and so I'm sure we will be able to find some a little bit later. I love spending time with ellies, but when it comes to wild dogs, it's generally a good idea not to leave them on their own for too long, because if they are left on their own, they get up and they move and they can cover distance quite quickly, and so it's better to try and just get to them and spend some time with them. Ultimately, at the end of the day, who knows, maybe these ellies join us in our wild dog sighting a little bit later. We know how exciting that can be, because wild dogs and elephants tend to not really like each other, and there tends to be absolute chaos that erupts when these two find each other. So we're going to head towards the wild dogs. We're going to try and see if we can find them. While we do that, I believe that Jamie has had a wonderful afternoon with their lions hunting warthogs, and I wonder how the cubs are going to be acting with the little carcass that they've got.
Well, they tried to grab it and received such a hiding from the adult lioness that now they're all sitting looking very dejected. And the lioness has raced away with all that remains of essentially just a warthog head. I'm getting thoroughly dripped on here. I had to do a very rapid reposition to actually be able to shelter us from the rain, but we are soaked. The rain has come in at great speed, so I might have to do some shuffling and some repositioning. There's the lioness. I've blocked everybody's view, but I had to get out of the rain. I really did. Actually, hello, Drip. Thanks so much. Here we go. There's the lioness with the warthog. It's cold. There's the lioness with all that remains of the warthog, and she's pretty much finished it off now. One cub tried to go at her, got a hiding, the other cub tried to sneak in, and the end result was a lot of growling and she ran away. But unfortunately during this whole process we were trying to escape from the rain. Okay, as our lioness snarls preemptively, just in case anybody tries to even think about coming her way, let's head back across to Brent, who has found himself in the company of more elephants.
Well, it's been a bit of a struggle since the temperature dropped to find any of the smaller creatures, and there are just so many lovely big Eddie bulls around. This one's a lot younger than the one we were with earlier in the afternoon, probably around 25, maybe closer to 30. Also all on his own. Now, the road we're actually driving on, if I keep very quiet, you might be able to hear, is flowing. Sounds like a little bubbling brook. You can actually hear him ripping the grass out of the ground. And you can hear quite a few different species of insects and frogs, and one little pectoral patch testicular making noise somewhere. Oh, but very exciting, and I'm very jealous because my good friend Tristan has seen my most favorite animal, and of course they're always very, very exciting to follow. Hopefully they'll be up on the move shortly.
Well, as you can see, we have found our dogs, and they are fairly sedate at this stage, which...
Oh, well, apparently they're having some tech issues back at Djuma, so we're going to leave our elephant ball. As I said, you can see the road is flowing here, so we're going to do some slipping and sliding in our search for black rhino. So the water table is just really, really high at this time of the year. Okay, so again, while we slip and slide on this quite treacherous road, let's go. I hope Tristan is going to have lots of joy with my favorite animal, the African wild dog.
Well, we're going to try that all again. A few little gremlins climbed on board and ended our little segment rather abruptly. But our dogs, as you can see, are sitting in the shade resting. They're breathing quite heavily, and that's because I'm pretty sure most of them had a really good meal this morning. As we were driving in, lots of them have quite nice big round tummies, which would tend to suggest that they've all had a fairly decent meal at some point this morning. And they are absolutely loving the fact that there are so many impala lambs around. I'm pretty sure that's what they're going after for the most part at the moment. They're just going from place to place and chasing these impala herds and panicking these lambs that don't have experience with wild dogs just yet, and are then grabbing them and feeding off those. So I'm pretty sure they had a good morning out. Seems that everyone at least has got a nice rounded tummy, which is good news. The thing is, though, is that it means that they're probably going to rest for quite some time. Starts to get a little bit lower, then we're going to start heading out and hopefully on a afternoon hunt, which will be fantastic. The problem is we're right up on the northern boundary, so hopefully they won't get up and go northwards. Hopefully they'll decide to run in a westerly direction or maybe even south. That would be appreciated for sure. Now the pack that we've got here is the Investec Gambali breakaway pack. It's the pack that's got the collared male in it, so the collared male from the Ngala pack is within this particular grouping, and so I'm not sure how many of them are around at the moment. I haven't spent too much time with them this week, as I said, and so I'm interested to see how many members are part of it and whether or not there has been a split in them, because there has been a lot of contact calling from this grouping and maybe they're trying to find everybody. Now, Christine, you were watching this morning and you were wondering whether or not this pack would help the member that individual that has the sore leg or broken leg. I didn't get to see the footage myself, so I'm not sure how bad that leg is, but theoretically, if that member could join the pack and keep up with the pack, they most certainly probably would accept it at this time of the year. At the end of the day, it's not a mating period, and therefore they are a lot more inclined to accept members within the group, and that dog would just have to be able to keep up and it would be accepted within it. Whether or not they would help it is the next thing. I don't think they would go back and try and keep it up, slow right down to keep that one with it. You tend to find that those dogs kind of break off on their own, or they try and join up with a smaller group and then run around. The thing is, though, a dog with a broken leg like that is not necessarily a death sentence. So a lot of people would look at that and say that dog is not going to be able to survive, it's got a broken leg. But in actual fact, wild dogs, it's quite common to see them with very bad leg injuries. The nature of the way that they hunt, the nature of the way that they run, it is quite common for them to have injuries, and you often see wild dog packs with a member that is limping or has got a sore leg or one of those kind of things. And in fact, there was a wild dog up in the northern parts of Kruger at one point that had only 2 legs. The other 2 legs unfortunately get lost in snaring. So snares are little wire traps that are put out for small animals, and sometimes the wild dogs get caught in it and they will then unfortunately lose a limb of them's own. And that particular dog that was sort of debilitated by these snares and only had the 2 legs was still able to run and keep up with the pack and survive. So a broken leg, while it looks really bad for wild dogs, is part and parcel of their life. You often see dogs, and in fact when I speak to Grant about the wild dogs and ask him about these things, he says to me, if there's not a wild dog limping in a pack, there is something wrong. They generally always have a dog within the ranks that seems to be having some sort of a limp. Like I say, the way that they run around and jump around and go crazy tends to mean that they sometimes unfortunately hurt themselves. And these animals are quite resilient. You'll find that maybe in time that leg resets and weight will start being put on it, and that dog will be able to then keep up a lot better and still stay with the pack. At the end of the day, that dog might actually even be here with them. We're not too far from where Scott saw that dog this morning. It's a little bit to our western side, and maybe through all the contact calling that we've been hearing over the last few days, maybe that dog is the one that's got separated and why they've been calling so much, and they'll come together and everything will be okay again. It depends on obviously a number of factors, but I would surmise that's why they're calling, is that a member or certain section of this pack has dissipated off or moved off, and there's so much contact calling to try and find one another at the end of the day. But it'll be interesting to count how many there are here, because I would love to know what the sort of dynamics are for the dogs. It seems as though there's been a lot of dogs all over the place. I know Noelle had 3 dogs this morning. Whether they're from this pack, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know if she had the low Sabi breakaway pack or which one she had, but it'll be interesting to kind of see how it all goes. We're going to have to be a little bit patient though, because at the end of the day, these dogs are going to be resting for some time. It is not a cloudy, overcast afternoon, which means they're not going to get running too early. At the end of the day, they also do have stuff in their stomach, and they have eaten, and so they will have a situation where they'll probably be fairly patient for now and just try and bide their time and rest off this hot part of the day before they then get up and start moving. Always good, though, to see the dogs. I love spending time with them. There's a thing about them is that you never know what's going to happen. So with dogs, they could be resting like this, and in 1 second they're up and they're going, and so it's always a great thing to have them around. They tend to cause utter chaos all over the place, and whether it's chasing impalas, causing chaos in elephant herds, or chasing leopards up trees, you never know with them. And they're around, and when they're around, generally action seems to follow them. So it's a worthwhile animal to be patient with and just to spend some time. Plus the fact that they're not an everyday experience. They're not an animal that we get to see regularly enough that to just kind of have a fleeting glimpse. Now, I believe a lot of you are saying that it's been such a treat to have the dogs around as much as we have over the past little bit. It is amazing, and it's almost in the last sort of 2 weeks, I would imagine, is how long they've been around for. And it seems to be this pack in particular that's just running the breadth and length of Djuma. And like I say, we're not complaining at all. It's been so wonderful to have them around and to see their tracks all over the place and have these amazing sightings. I know Noelle's been absolutely spoiled with the dogs this week. She's had 2 great sightings of them, and I know Steph's had a great sighting of them on foot as well. And so it's really good to have them around. And like I say, because they are as rare as they are, and we generally find in the winter months we see very little of them if they don't den anywhere nearby, that it's an absolute treat when they spend longer periods of time in this area and when they are around Djuma.